Martha, can you please call roll?
Yes. Cowdery.
Here.
Gibbs.
Here.
Kring.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Quinn.
Here.
Rothrock.
Here.
Shepherd.
Here.
Vaughn.
Here.
Thank you.
Tonight we have several presentations from our police department. Chief Hadley.
Thank you. There's a couple of things that we need to do tonight. The first, on a sad note, an officer that retired from here, had been here from 75 to 2001, Ed McLean, passed away yesterday morning. Services are going to be on Friday. If any of you are interested in going, please get a hold of me or Martha, and we'll get those arrangements to you. I need to reverse my order just a little bit because I don't see Sandy here quite yet. So what I need to do is get Dave Malloy to come up here, who has no idea that he's supposed to come up here tonight. So in the police department, there's one person that tracks the birthdays, gets the cakes, anniversaries, all that kind of stuff, and it's Dave. So nothing ever gets by Dave until it's his anniversary at the police department. And he's been here for 25 years, didn't say anything to anybody, and his wife showed up at the station with a cake and asked us all to come upstairs for a cake, and that's how we knew that, hey, Dave had 25 years. So, with that being said, Dave is the most senior officer in the entire department and is one of those vital people that we cannot do without. So we had this made up for you. It says, Dave Malloy, thank you for your 25 years of dedicated service to our community. We very much appreciate your service and what you do for this city and the police department. We can't do it without you.
Well, thank you very much. Oh, hello. I guess so. This is my lovely wife, Mary Ann, and my boys, Matthew and Jonathan, baseball stars.
Now, David told me that he had a special project with his sons tonight and was trying to find a way to get one of the other captains to take the photos tonight, and I kept coming up with excuses as to why not. So he had no idea his family was coming tonight. But Mayor, would you like to come down and take a picture? And she did very good. You guys want to turn and look at Dan?
All right. Thank you very much. It's been an honor and privilege to have worked for City Commissioner.
Thank you so much for
very
your
much.
service. Cute kids.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Can I get along with just the family? Yeah. Get along with your family?
Oh, sure.
Nice trophy.
They have all the baseball trophies, so I have to Alright. Good guy?
Hey, you also played pull up my spell.
Thank you very much.
Dan could do the photos, but I had to find a reason to have him here. So you can do what you need to do.
Now you go and work on that project.
Yeah. The next thing I need to do is have Sandy Russell and Doug Gregg come up, please.
Oh, is your probation up?
So, I've been with Mission for 18 years. I've seen a lot of things happen in this city, good, bad. I've seen the businesses grow, people leave their doors unlocked, lock them, there's crimes going up and down. Over the last probably 14, 15 months since I've been put in as chief, I've seen a lot of change downstairs in the police department. It's not just the officers, it's not just the governing body, the department heads, city admin staff, it's the businesses in this community. And when I learned about the Coffee with a Cop program, that's a national program, Lenexa's done it. We were the next city in Johnson County to do it. Went and talked to Sandy, because she has the coffee shop and cops like coffee and donuts, right? So she said, hey, we'd love to have that. Doug Gregg shows up from Answer Pro. Now, I paid for the first one out of my own pocket, but Doug said, hey, this is a great thing that you guys are doing in Mission. I want to help out. And he sponsored the next 3. So this is my night to kind of brag about him as well, even though he didn't want me to say it. Helping this police department change and this city continue to move forward is extremely important. And I very much appreciate both of your businesses doing what they did to help this police department and city out. So on behalf of that, we have certificates of appreciation for both of you. And I very much appreciate your support. I gotta make sure I got my good side of the face. I don't know. Turn around.
It's a long way still evaluating time. It's feeling pretty great.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much.
And that's it, Mayor. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Tonight, we don't have any notes or bonds on our agenda. However, our consent agenda has 5 items tonight. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Mayor, I move the city council adopt the consent agenda as printed, items 3A through 3E.
Second.
Please call roll.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Crane.
Aye.
Cowdery.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Gibbs. Miller.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. If you have any questions regarding our community committees, you may ask staff or bring this up under new business. Public comments. This is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda. Tonight we have one item from the Planning Commission. Ms. Murray, will you report on this item?
Good evening. Sorry, Mayor. Before you tonight is a recommendation from the Planning Commission on a special use permit for a temporary, well, not temporary, seasonal concession sales of Italian ice at the Hy-Vee here in Mission. The Planning Commission did recommend it to you with some conditions. I'd be happy to answer questions if you have them, but we did include their staff report as well as the.
Any questions for? All right, thanks, Danielle.
Mayor, I move the city council approve an ordinance for special use permit 15-05 authorizing certain property within the city of Mission, Kansas to be used for or occupied by a special use with the conditions recommended by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Please call roll.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Cowdery.
Aye.
Crane.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Now we have our committee reports. Councilmember Rothrock, will you provide a report from the Finance and Administration Committee?
Resolution expressing the property taxation policy of the Mission City Council with respect to financing the annual budget for 2016. The city's proposed 2016 budget expects to levy property taxes higher than those levied in 2015. State statute requires the governing body to approve a resolution attesting to this fact prior to final adoption of the 2016 budget. The resolution itself does not express an anticipated mill levy. The mill levy will be specifically adopted through a separate budget resolution included as item 6B on our agenda. Mayor, I move the City Council approve a resolution expressing the property taxation policy of the City Council of the City of Mission with respect to financing the annual budget for 2016.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call roll.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Cowdery.
Aye.
Crane.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
Second, 2016 budget. Over the past several months, council and staff have worked to prepare the proposed 2016 budget, which establishes policies that maintain basic services and city operations, sets the mill rates for the City of Mission and the Rock Creek Drainage Districts number 1 and number 2, and formalizes the 2016 to 2020 Community Investment Program. As a part of the budget process, Council first adopts a budget resolution which outlines and describes the financial policies, tax and fee structures, and other related issues included in the proposed 2016 budget. The budget resolution forwarded from the August 5th Finance and Administration Committee meeting increases the property tax mill levy by 7 mills to support the residential street maintenance program and increases the stormwater utility fee by $5 per ERU per month. There will be 4 separate motions tonight to consider and adopt the 2016 budget. First, we will consider the 2016 budget resolution. Then council will formally adopt the 2016 budgets for the City of Mission, Rock Creek Drainage Districts number 1 and Rock Creek Drainage District number 2. Mayor, I move the City Council approve the 2016 budget resolution establishing budget policies for the City of Mission, Kansas as published.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to move the City Council amend the 2016 budget resolution establishing budget policies for the City of Mission, Kansas as follows. Section 1.4 to be amended to read. Increase the mill levy in the general fund by 4.5 mills. Estimated total mill rate of $15,854. The revenues generated from the mill increase, $535,000 annually, will be transferred to the Capital Improvement Fund to support the residential street maintenance program. Section 2.1 to be amended to read, preserve the equivalent 2015 mill levy rate, 11.354 for general fund operations. Although the total mill to be levied in the general fund is 15.854, the revenues generated by the 4.5 mill increase will be used exclusively for street maintenance.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
So she's amended the motion from 7 mills
To the 4.5. So we'll discuss it all, and then we'll vote on 4.5 first.
Interesting.
And if that doesn't pass, then we'll go back to it no matter.
That's backwards than what we had discussed.
Right. In committee meeting.
Right. At committee meeting. And really makes no sense to me because if people who are wanting to vote for a higher mill levy vote against this motion, and then it goes to the higher one, and that doesn't pass, then you've got nowhere to go.
Well,
If we started out with the 7 mil vote and it didn't pass, then you at least have the 4.5 mil.
well, we don't have
So
to
let
say
me-
4.5.
Mayor,
or
if I
7.
might, so
Yeah.
the underlying motion, so the first motion on the floor is the budget resolution as published, which was 7 mills and $5 per ERU. So that's the first motion that is out there. So Archie
She
made that
amended-
motion.
She amended it.
Well, no, she has recommended an amendment to the resolution, and she has a second. So you can either discuss
So
it
you
at
have
this
to vote on the
point.
amendment at this point.
Right.
So I'm going to recommend to the council that you vote against the change at this time. And if it doesn't pass, then we'll take another vote on a resolution ordered at 4.5 mils or whatever we decide.
Well, if it fails now, then we won't vote, but we can always vote on 5, 6. It doesn't have to stay at 4.5, it doesn't have to stay at 7. So we're starting out at 4.5, it doesn't pass, then we will vote to the 7, unless somebody else wins it for something else.
I understand that, but at the committee meeting, we discussed this, and I specifically brought that up, how we were gonna present this at the meeting, and it was discussed that it would be presented to 7 mills first, and we'd vote on that. And then if that didn't pass, we'd do 4.5. So I don't know where the change came.
What we said was that what would be put in the packet as the proposed and recommended budget was 7 mills and 5 ERUs, and that's what you have, and that's what your first motion
Right.
was made for.
And that's what's on the resolution.
And
I personally don't care which one comes first. I know how I'll vote, so it doesn't matter if you do 7, that's fine. I mean, I don't know if that's appropriate, but
We have an amendment though.
So you have an amendment, you have a motion that's been made and seconded to consider
Right.
an amendment to that. So
I
you
understand.
can vote on that, and then you can go back and
Right.
discuss 7.
So I was
Right,
discussing
so
the
you're-
amendment and giving my opinion on how it's
Right.
voted. That's how we do this.
And I don't know how many phone calls you got, but I got several on the 7 mills, so,
That's fine.
that's the reason for my comment.
Well,
That's the way you
That's just
feel.
not how we discussed it at
That's,
all.
that's what we're here for, is discussion, and I'm going to open it up to the audience. Frank, did you have something?
Well, yes, I didn't get an opportunity to comment at the finance committee meeting. But
Steve,
anyway,
point of order really quick. I think we need to vote on this amendment so we know what's in front of us.
Why, we have discussion first.
You can go either way on that. I mean, we know there's going to be discussion surrounding 7 mills and 4.5 mills. And so the question is, you have an amendment before you now for 4.5 mills. So you can take a vote on that amendment, which will take us back to the underlying motion, which is 7 mills, $5 per ERU.
So I'm confused. So if we vote on the amendment,
Yes.
and let's say it passes, then we're done.
I see what you mean.
So we need to have discussion now.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. I'm not sure it matters where the discussion happens. I mean,
Well, it matters a whole lot if the 4.5 passes, right? I mean, then there's no reason to have a discussion if you
will not be
don't.
voting at the 7.
What?
If you amend it to 4.5, you will not be voting in the 7.
Right, so if we have an opinion or something to talk about, we need to discuss it right now. It does matter significantly.
Right.
yes. But I think you're at the point where you would have discussion on 4.5 versus 7.
All right.
Frank Bruce, 5706 Lamar, and it's probably a little known fact that I was actually against the driveway tax, but I think the intent was good. I think the intent was to spread the cost to those people who don't have interest in Mission that come in and leave Mission. But if you pass 7%, what you do is you just simply roll over the same cost, and a lot of it rolls over to the businesses. Now, under the driveway tax, particularly the mom and pops that operated on very narrow margins, had to either raise prices and be non-competitive or reduce their profit margins, which with the Johnson Drive project and everything were already restricted. If we go this route of the 7% or the 7 mills, then that again puts the burden on the businesses, and they'll have to again pass that cost along by raising prices or reducing profits. A much more equitable way to do it is to do the 4.5, which gets you pretty much to your goal of 1/4 cent sales tax, which is 25 cents on a $100 purchase. But that will get the people who come to Mission that don't live here and do business transactions, and they will help, which was the original intent, underwrite the cost of street maintenance, which I think is very fair and equitable. And as far as the $5 ERU, that's mute. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Any other discussion? Yes.
So Frank, I appreciate your comments. It's not any secret that when I ran for office several years ago, I was against the transportation utility fee as well. The one thing that has come to my attention since being on this council is understanding the impact of, first of all, I think everybody in this community admits and agrees and understands that we need to improve our infrastructure in our streets. And now we've heard from the survey this year that our residents resoundingly want additional sidewalks added, more sidewalks added, and sidewalk maintenance to be done. So that is a part of our street program that is lacking. We do have some sidewalk maintenance in the budget. But looking at the transportation utility fee and how it impacts businesses versus residents is, to me, shocking. I was very surprised that it's $775,000 a year. If you spread that across 9,500 residences, that's a lot of money. So if you look at the businesses and the businesses be able to come in and pay a proportionate value that is equal to or in proportion to the amount of business that they bring in, I think that makes sense. When you look at how much of the transportation utility fee is passed on to businesses who bring the majority of the traffic into this community versus me, myself, the amount of traffic I bring into this community, I welcome that businesses are sharing a larger portion for what they do. I understand that for small businesses that can be a factor. In looking at the numbers that were provided to us, there are businesses that are going to save tens of thousands of dollars by not having a transportation utility fee to pay. That will not be replaced by a mill levy increase. There are a lot of businesses in this city that are tax exempt. So while they are not exempt from a transportation utility fee, they are exempt from a mill levy. So those people who are exempt, those businesses who are exempt from a mill levy are not paying anything to help us with our infrastructure. And the residents of this city are bearing that burden. I don't like that. So I believe in somehow, some way looking for a way to prorationally levy fees and taxes for revenue purposes against residents and business owners. So right now the transportation utility fee is not a valid avenue for us to do that. So we have to look at mill levy and stormwater utility fee are the only two options we have, and then of course eventually a sales tax if that ends up being on the table for the voters. I don't want to raise taxes. I'm a fiscally conservative individual. I also do not believe in and didn't support the amount of improvement we did on Johnson Drive. I think we definitely could have made the street as beautiful as it is today with a significant less expenditure. And so now here we are, we have to pay the piper. So this council made a vote, passed an improvement without securing a revenue stream to pay for that. And now here we are 2-3 years later, and we have to make a decision on improving and increasing our stormwater utility fee to pay for those improvements that was not agreed to or passed when those improvements were done. So the $525,000 that we have to now raise the utility fee to pay, we're at a situation where we have to be responsible and pay for the debt that we've incurred and pay for the amount of money that we've spent. The interesting thing last time when we went 2 weeks ago, we were in our committee meeting, somebody from the audience stood up and said, even 7 mills doesn't pay for what the city has planned. So a couple of things come into play there. Number one, our street program was built underneath an assumption. We realize now that the streets that we have allotted for mill and overlay are not sufficient. They cannot sustain a mill and overlay, and they have to have full depth replacement. So we realize that our street program that we have in place is not going to meet our needs and going to eventually cost us additional money in order to build that improvement to those streets. So that's an unexpected expense that we had, right? So when the individual asked, the question was looking, and that's not even taken into consideration in our current street program and our current CIP, because we don't know what the extent of that is going to be yet. So the question is, if you look at on the table and you look at what we have here and what we planned for, we really need to increase 14 mills to pay for everything that's in the plan. And we already know the plan's short. So to pick 4.5 mills, so everybody, it's apparent that the 5 ERU is not an option. We all agree we have to pass that. The option on the table is 4.5 mills or 7 mills. 4.5 mills is not sufficient to pay our debt and to build out the programs that we believe are important for the improvement of this city. 7 mills kind of gets us there, but it really doesn't meet the needs. We're gonna have to make some adjustment, and we're gonna have to prioritize other items in our plans over the next 5 years so that 7 mills makes it. And then honestly, we're gonna have to definitely look at a sales tax increase as well. So I do not support 4.5 mills. I do not feel like it is fiscally responsible of us to pick 4.5 mills because we're gonna be here a year, 2 years later asking for an increase in mill levy to pay for our obligations and what we need to do to ensure the infrastructure is being sustained in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would just add that we're probably going to be at dire straits in differences. I can afford to pay more, but a majority of my constituents cannot. And I've got to look out for the whole. There's a balance. Being on this council for 16 years, there's a balance between representing the people that are in your ward and balancing a budget and representing the city, because you're managing the city. I will tell you, now that the county has raised their taxes, that puts us in an extremely awkward position to continue doing more for people with less. And it does impact this city. The county and the state impact local municipalities on a daily basis. I would just say, I don't think it's negligent to look at something below 7. As we continue, we have visions for redevelopment in this community. As more businesses and more people come into this community, it offsets the need to raise extremely high rates at this point in time. We're not here to make money, we're here to sustain. And I think as we get more people on board, we'll be able to have that opportunity later down the road. If we have to go back in 3 years and raise it, I'm willing to look at that. But I think we have to look on a year-by-year basis as to what we have and what people out here who have invested their whole lives in this community can afford. And that's where I see it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes, Pat.
If I could, I'd like to say that I support everything that Amy Miller, Councilman Miller, said a little while ago, and she mentioned the survey, the most recent survey. There have been several surveys done here in Mission, and in every one of them, every survey, the residents talk about how they think that the number one thing on their agenda for the city to take care of are the streets. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be responsible enough to not put this off any farther. And as Miller alluded to, the 4.5 mil increase, I hate to do it too. It costs all of us more money. But it's not enough to cover the cost of doing what we need to do, what the citizens have said they want taken care of here in Mission. And it would be irresponsible and short-sighted of us to pass that to try and appease a few people and then come back and hit them up with another increase in a couple of years and try and slide it in on them like that. You got to be, I think Amy used the term, fiscally responsible. You want to pay for what you're doing as you go. When I ran on debt. I thought the city was in too much debt. And to keep from going into debt, you pay for things as you do them. And you got to have the money to pay for them. And the only way you're going to do that is to bring in enough revenue to take care of the expenses, obviously. So we have been working on the debt since I got on the council. I think just last year, and Laura can back me up on this, but I think we paid off about $4.5 million in debt. That's great. We're moving the right direction there. And as that debt gets paid down and we start building more and more money into a general fund or into these other funds that we've set up for streets and what have you, then we're doing the pay-as-you-go and taking care of the infrastructure and all the street programs and the park programs and whatever else people want done here in Mission without having to go into debt and without having to ask for another rate increase on anything. So I just think it would be short-sighted and irresponsible to do the 4.5% right now when you know, we've had meetings and you know, everybody on this council knows that is not enough to cover what we need to do in our budget line items for the next few years. So I'm definitely going to vote against the amendment, and hopefully you'll join me, and then vote for the resolution as first reading.
Anyone else?
I'll say something.
Yeah.
We have been trying to pay off debt, but a lot of that has been refinancing bonds. It's not been decreasing spending. We're trying to decrease spending. It's hard. We had a lean budget anyway. We've already spent it, and we're just paying our debt. That's where we get into trouble. We're not. The more money we bring in, the more we anticipate spending. I would like to see us make modest increases. Sure, everybody wants streets and sidewalks, and everybody said they did. But they did not say they wanted a major increase to pay for them. It was a very modest amount on the dollar amount spent. And a 4.5 is a modest amount if we go ahead and prioritize their streets, not the major thoroughfares. We've been paying our stormwater debt out of our general fund. The reason we wanted to increase the general fund is because it looked good on our credit rating, so we could borrow more money for our 5-year community investment program. Or, we can spend that money on improving Michigan.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Laura, could you please, if we do the 4.5, could you please just recap a little bit about our street program and where we stand with that?
Sure, and actually, if you would, because I know we had, at the committee meeting, we had a lot of conversation about what the combination of revenues would do compared to what we generate today. At your place, there's a sheet that looks like this. I tried to just capture. Yes, and I will do that. So,
Hold on just a second.
yeah, I want
There's a
everybody to
sheet
get
that
it.
looks like this.
Looks like this, probably towards the bottom.
Attached in there or something?
It should be.
Yeah, I don't have a sheet.
Yes.
That's okay, of course, I gave you the sheet. Oh, there it is.
So at the top, so our current, so I think this will let me walk through. So currently in 2015, to fund our street program, we generate about $1.5 million, and that's generated through the transportation utility fee, the existing quarter-cent sales tax, and the special highway funds that we receive through the state. If we look at, and that allows us at this point to pay debt service on street-related bonds, and to spend about $350,000 a year on chip seal and mill and overlay program. At that amount, we knew in looking at our 5-year CIP that we were already going to be upside down and would probably have to defer full depth reconstruction projects and the larger projects that would be CARS funding eligible. And those decisions were hitting us really in 2016 and 2017. So what I tried to do was capture the options that we've talked about through the budget work session. So if we look at the first option, 7 mills, no new sales tax, that's going to show you that generates about $1.6 million. So you're ahead of our current revenues by about $115,000. If we look at 7 mills, and if voters were to approve a new quarter-cent street sales tax, it puts us ahead of current revenues by about $665,000. 4.5 mills, with no new sales tax, actually sets us back to the tune of about $182,000 over our current revenue stream. And at 4.5 mills with a new quarter-cent sales tax, we would generate about $367,000. Now, I think as Councilmember Miller referenced also, so any of these allow us to continue, with the exception of, any of these allow us to continue to pay existing debt service and to dedicate $350,000 to chip seal, mill and overlay. We really don't make progress on full depth reconstruction, and we would have to defer the larger projects outside of that program. We're going to have to, even with any of the 7 mills or additional sales tax, we're going to have to still do some juggling to manage that. But this sort of illustrates the larger impact of that.
Thank you.
So just to be fair, can we also show the actual street program and the negative balances for the 4.5 versus
Yep.
7? So if we're being clear.
Let's
with
go
the
to,
since CIP.
yep. So, one more. There you go. Okay, so this is 7 mils no sales tax. So this is the scenario that puts us ahead by 115,000. What you can see is that the numbers are small, but really by 2017, you are running in a deficit position because of your larger Fox Ridge projects. You could, if you deferred those projects, you could start to add full depth reconstruction. We did add full depth reconstruction in this scenario to the tune of about $300,000 a year, which will probably do 1 to 2 street segments based on the core sampling that we've done. If you look at, the next should be the next one, 7 mils with the new quarter-cent sales tax. Again, there you see over the 5-year community investment program, you have 1 year, which is 2018, where you're running in a deficit position, and that is really a cash flow issue related to the construction of Fox Ridge, because you've got a $4 million construction expense in that year, but you would be cash positive over that 5-year program. The packet did not include the 4.5 mils because that was not what was recommended, but at your place you have the 4.5 mil scenarios.
So do you have it to display to the audience?
I've got a copy right here. So 4.5 mils no sales tax, you start running a deficit position in the 2016 budget and looking at full depth reconstruction, and you basically end the 5-year program at a $4 million deficit position with those same projects. With 4.5 mils and a new quarter-cent sales tax, you start running that deficit position in 2018. So you really would have to defer the larger portion of the Fox Ridge project outside of that 5-year plan with 4.5 and a quarter-cent sales tax.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Any other questions? Discussion? Why don't we wait just a minute, just maybe give everybody a chance before we go double. Well, thank you.
So I'm sorry that those in the audience don't have access to this information that we're doing from a comparison. I think it would be very valuable to you. If you look at what you can't look, but at the sheet that Laura was speaking to when she said the 2016 7 mils is 1.6 million, let's call it 2016 4.5 mils is 1.3 million. So essentially you're looking at a $300,000 difference from 4.5 mils to 7 mils, period. That equates to $40 a year. So we're talking about a difference of $40 per year on an average $150,000 home. And $40 a year more doesn't get us to pay for everything. We still have negative balances. That's $3 a month and 11 cents a day. So while I agree with Debbie, this is something that I can afford. It's $40 a year, and the reality is we are going to have to come back and raise taxes in future years. So we might as well start raising a little bit more now because it's time to pay the piper. So just one more thing I want to say is several council people have talked about how this is such a large increase and how big it is. It's $40 a year on an average $150,000 home.
Thank you, Amy. Any other discussion? Yes, Jim.
One way that we can decrease the deficit in the coming years too is to decrease spending. So we can delay some major projects and maybe redo people's streets. Also,
What were you saying?
we can delay some major projects maybe and redo actually individual streets if we have to do some full reconstruction. I think that's some of people's angst about it is they see the beautiful big projects being done, but they don't see their street on a street maintenance program, and they've been paying tough, and they've been paying, they've been paying money for street maintenance, but their streets are not necessarily very good. So I think that that's some individual irritations, but we'll always have more to spend than we bring in. That's just the fact of life in a city. There's always more infrastructure needs than there is money. On the stormwater or the street program, so you always will have to balance what you ask and what you can afford in a city of 10,000 people, so.
We don't have any big projects.
But we have Box Ridge coming up.
We have agreed, I think we've agreed as a council routinely that we're gonna continue to push that down the road. I don't think anybody's.
Just try not to talk back and forth, so just keep it moving.
Well, it is in the CIP, and that is part of what they have budgeted, the 7 mills. It is included in the 7 mil increase as far as positive cash flow.
It's in both scenarios. We look
Okay.
at it in both scenarios.
Correct. So that's, the numbers we have are with Box Ridge added in. Also, I'm hoping that with all this new development, that we get a lot more money in sales tax. Yes.
Right.
So I'm hoping that it's not gonna be the issue that it was. It was a real rough year doing Johnson Drive. It's beautiful, but it affected the revenues and the sales tax, and now that we have all these new additions, I'm hoping we see a different sales tax number. So that's
Thanks.
my expectation.
Amy, did you have something else? Anyone else?
Yeah, Mayor, just one thing. So I'm the newest one of the council, so I think through this whole process, I think everyone's had fiscal responsibility at the forefront. I will commend all of us on the council. And I think even the citizens who attend the meetings have looked at, fiscal responsibility. How do we do this? But, when I moved to Mission 8 years ago, and I thought about our city, and you look at things, slogan of Mission is, what mission forward. We thought about development of Johnson Drive, how to move this city forward. I think at this point, I can't comment on what's happened in the previous councilors' decisions we've made there, because I wasn't part of those. But I look at it as our residents are speaking and ask us, how do we push the city forward? How do we bring more retail, more small shops in here? How do we bring more residents in here to shop and spend local? And in my opinion, when you're doing those things, you have to keep your infrastructure up. They've talked about that. You have to do these things. If we don't do these things, all the work that everybody's done up until this point was for nothing. Because immediately when streets go down and services are delayed, everything changes. So in my opinion, let's think about not necessarily, we have to remember how we got here, and we have to be cognizant not to get there again, but how do we move forward, start paying some of that debt down, and actually driving revenue to our city.
Good. Thank you, Jason. Anything else? Well, I guess I'll give my 2 cents. The reason I'm in favor of the 4.5 is not because I want less for streets. I want more for streets. I think our chances of passing a sales tax initiative with the 4.5 is way above the 7. I don't think we'll get it done at 7. I think we have to show a need to get that sales tax passed through the voters. A sales tax and 4.5 is going to give us 250 or so thousand more than just the 7 mills. It's possible we might get the sales tax passed and the 7 mills. I think our chances, though, are pretty slim. And the sales tax is a must. Why not get people from other communities coming in here, helping us pay for our streets? So that's really where it's at, is that sales tax. We know 4.5 is not enough. Right. It'll get us for 16. And if the sales tax does not pass, then we'll have to raise the mill. But like I said, we're going to get so much more money from the sales tax, and it'll be less hurtful to our residents. So that is my 2 cents. And
so Mayor, you're saying you're more concerned with how it would look to the residents?
I'm more concerned with getting more money for our streets, and you do that with 4.5.
You do that with 7 mills and a quarter cent.
If you can get passed. You have to show a need. And
you don't think there's any way to show the need if you do that?
I think if you do the 7, you're getting just as much as you did from the tough. And a little bit more, in fact. So if you're not showing a need, you're not going to pass that sales tax. I think it might be tough anyway. So that is my reason.
But you're aware that the 4.5 and the quarter cent is not going to be enough to do what
I think it will.
What we're wanting in the long run.
I believe it will be enough, yes.
Based on the projections that we've got right now.
well, we're not gonna get it all done at once. These streets got this ready in a long period of time, so we cannot do them all at once. We do the worst
No,
first.
we're not,
And-
nobody's talking about doing them all. So it's a program that we have to pay for them all in.
Yeah, that's right. So that's, any more discussion? Please call
Okay,
roll.
so let's just recap. So we're voting
Yes,
on
that's
an
very-
amendment, which would amend section 1, 4, and section 2, 1, that would change what's in the resolution before you from basically 7 mils to 4.5 mils.
Everybody, please call roll on the amendment.
Okay, Gibbs.
Aye.
Cowdery.
Aye.
Kring.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Nay.
Quinn.
Nay.
Miller.
Nay.
Shepherd.
Nay.
Vaughn.
Nay.
Motion fails.
Any discussion on the 7? Or are we
So now we're
discussed out
back, no, so we're back
to the original?
to the original
Motion.
budget resolution as included in your packet.
Did we get a second on the?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there any discussion? Please call roll.
Miller.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Cowdery.
Nay.
Kring.
Nay.
Gibbs.
Nay.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, could I interject a slight change?
Yes.
Move the city council amend the 2016 budget resolution establishing budget policies for the city of Mission, Kansas as follows. Section 2, number 6 to be amended to read, maintain the franchise and mill rate rebate program at 100% of the city franchise fees, 100% of the total city mill exclusive of all city special assessments, and 50% rebate of the solid waste utility. This expense is estimated at approximately $18,000, and this offsets the people who need the most have the least to pay. And to me, we have to look at people who can't pay anything. So I would move that.
Debbie, I need you to back up.
Sure.
We need to figure out where you are.
Sorry, I think she's offering an amendment to the budget resolution.
I got that part.
So we would be in,
And she said it maintains. So I heard her say maintains.
We have a 75% maintenance right now for those particular fees. I'm moving from 75 to 100 for people who are financially in that segment that the threshold for
Maybe
so
that's-
positive.
section 2 and 6, I think the word maintain is not, would need to be
What page are we
modified. So we're gonna be in the budget resolution, section 2, number 6. So I think, correct me, Councilmember Crane, I think the motion would be to provide, so it'd probably provide a franchise and mill rate rebate program at 100% of city franchise fees, 100% of the total city mill, so increasing the rebate of city mill from 75 to 100%.
And the solid waste utility, 50%.
And 50% rebate. So the only change from the current program would be increasing the rebate on city mill from 75% to 100%. And that impacts the estimated expense by about $4,000.
So right now it's 14,000 that we have in that fund, and we'll raise it 4,000 to 18,000, is that correct, Laura?
Roughly, yes.
Yes.
So
No, that's a clarification I need.
So when we talk about those most in need, what does this mean? What does this mean to the, where does the $4,000 come from? Does it come from the general fund? Does it come from revenues?
It would come from the general fund, so it would either be a change in fund balance or an adjustment of other line items to account for that.
And then who are the people who qualify for this? Where would it go?
It's income.
So you would apply their income guidelines, which would not be changed, and they would make application, and then their income would be verified, and if they qualified, then they would be.
So there'd be $4,000 more in the pool that's given to those people?
Yes.
Okay, who qualify, to the people who qualify? Yes. Thank you.
Did we have a second?
I second.
Oh,
I'm sorry, who seconded? Thank you.
any more discussion? Please call roll.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Rothrock,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Cowdery,
Aye.
Gibbs,
Aye.
Kring,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
Okay, just so we're really clear on that, since we had voted on the underlying budget resolution, what I think would be best is to take another vote now on this amended, newly amended. Just so we're clear in the communication. So I think it would just be a motion to approve the budget resolution as amended, which would be the change that Debbie just suggested. So we would be at 7 mills, 5 ERUs, increasing the mill rebate to 100%.
So moved.
That is really awkward, Laura.
Well, I know, but the amendment got offered after we approved the budget resolution in total. So I know it's a.
So can I make a motion that we,
I just moved it.
okay, you don't have to say
Well,
that.
no, who made the motion?
Second, Pat made a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
So the motion would be to approve the 2016 budget resolution as amended. And the amendment that was just approved.
So I think it's to pass the 2016 budget as passed, because it passed, right? But including the amendment on the table. I just want to be very clear that we're not getting the two
Right.
amendments confused. So we are amending a budget that passed, not an amended budget.
Budget resolution.
Right, a budget resolution.
Yes.
So I make a motion that we add the amendment to section 2, number 6,
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
to the budget resolution that was passed earlier this evening.
And she can do that because I withdrew my motion.
I was more specific with mine.
I'd like
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, wait a minute. Who seconded that now? Thank you.
Discussion? Please call roll.
Quinn,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Crane,
Aye.
Cowdery,
Aye.
Rothrock,
Aye.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carried.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was the easy part.
16. And the first motion.
Okay, so the mayor, I move the city council adopt the City of Mission 2016 budget as published with an estimated total mill rate of 18.354 and a stormwater utility fee of $28 per ERU per month. No, sorry. Is that right?
Yeah, so when we adopt the budget, we're going to say the total mill rate.
So we need a second.
You need a second.
Second.
Discussion? Please call roll.
Rothrock,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Crane,
Aye.
Cowdery,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Gibbs,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
Okay, so next we have the Rock Creek Drainage District number 1. Mayor, I move the city council adopt the 2016 budget for Rock Creek Drainage District number 1 with an estimated mill rate of 10.5 mils.
Second.
Please call roll.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Gibbs,
Aye.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Cowdery,
Aye.
Crane,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mayor, I move the city council adopt the 2016 budget for Rock Creek Drainage District number 2 with an estimated mill rate of 10.5 mils.
Second.
Please call roll.
Miller,
Aye.
Rothrock,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Crane,
Aye.
Cowdery,
Aye.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Oh, carries.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so in connection with the annual budget adoption, the council also considers a resolution adopting the 2016 to 2020 Community Investment Program, the CIP. The proposed CIP resolution outlines the revenues programmed in the 2016 budget, with the remaining years designed to be fluid and flexible to allow opportunities to evaluate and address changes in resources or priorities in future years. Approval of the CIP resolution does not commit the city to any specific expenditures beyond those contemplated in 2016. Mayor, I move the City Council adopt a resolution adopting the 2016 to 2020 Community Investment Program for the City of Mission, Kansas.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes.
I think given the information that we've seen in the survey that we received this year, I'd like to see the staff and council take a hard look at some of the projects that we have in the CIP program as it stands today, and look at potentially prioritizing the addition of sidewalks to answer to the information that was provided in the survey. So just in general, I'd like to see us look at what is already written and make changes, which I know we will do, and just evaluate our priorities going forward based on the survey results.
Any other? Please call roll.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Cowdery.
Aye.
Kring.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Quinn, will you provide a report on our Community Development Committee?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. The ordinance regulating urban chickens and beekeeping. I know, after what we just went through, it just... Okay, in response to several requests by Mission residents, the Community Development Committee discussed updates to the city's code to allow for both chickens and beekeeping in Mission. Permits for keeping chickens and bees would be administered by the staff and require an annual license fee of $50. The ordinance also imposes a number of requirements on would-be permittees, including the denial of a license if the applicant has a history of animal and/or code enforcement violations. Additionally, inspections of the premises are required. Regulations for the chickens include no more than 6 adult chickens, no roosters are allowed. The chicken coop must be located at least 10 feet from the nearest property line. Regulations for beekeeping include no more than 2 hives, which must be located at least 10 feet from the nearest property line. The yard must have fencing at least 42 inches tall, and a flyway structure or barrier such as shrubbery is required if the fence is less than 6 feet tall. The keeper must manage the hives to minimize swarming, and the keeper must provide a source of water on the property. Mayor, I move that the City Council adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 210 of the Code of the City of Mission, Kansas, related to animal control and the regulation of domestic animals.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Yes.
I would just like to make note that the deed restrictions for countryside will be included in the application, just to make sure that...
The application will include a verification of or information about any deed restrictions for any, not just countryside, but any neighborhood or homes association.
Thank you.
Please call roll.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Cowdery.
Aye.
Kring.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
Mayor, if I may, the Downtown Task Force resolution. The Downtown District Task Force was appointed by the mayor in January of 2015 to continue the momentum of business activity and redevelopment following the completion of the Johnson Drive project. The group met for 6 months and established a set of recommendations which are outlined in the proposed resolution. Included in the recommendations are the formation of a business association to attract new visitors and businesses, and the formation of a business improvement district to create a sustainable funding source for future improvement and promotion of the district. So Mayor, I move that the City Council adopt a resolution supporting the recommendations of the Downtown District Task Force.
Second.
Any discussion? I'd just like to say there's a few people out here that were on the committee, and I appreciate they did a lot of work, and it's really going to be a benefit, I think. So thank you very much. Please call roll.
Kring.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Cowdery.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mayor, got another item here, the Safe Routes to School KDOT agreement. In June, the council approved acceptance of the Safe Routes to School Phase 1 grant in the amount of $20,000 in federal funding to perform a Safe Routes to School Phase 1 study. This study will examine how students travel to 4 nearby schools and will provide a plan that shows opportunities to improve bicycle and pedestrian safety. Commission's match to this grant is $5,000. The proposed project agreement with KDOT is the second step in this grant process. Council will next need to approve a contract for completion of the actual study. Mayor, I move that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with the KDOT, the Kansas Department of Transportation, regarding the Safe Routes to School Phase 1 study grant.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call roll.
Cowdery.
Aye.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Crane.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mayor, that concludes my report.
I don't believe we have any unfinished business tonight. We do have one item on new business. Mr. Scott, will you provide a report on this item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The item before you on the agenda tonight is the early renewal of our insurance plan with Aetna. Kind of way of the background. We've been offering health insurance to our employees through Aetna since 2008. That's a fully insured plan, and it offers 4 tiers: employee, employee plus spouse, employee plus children, employee plus family. We have about 60 employees that are currently on the plan. And that is actually defined under the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, as a large market group. And that's going to change effective January 1st, 2016. The definition will now include groups of our size as small groups instead of large groups. And so that kind of changes the playing field a little bit in terms of the rating. So instead of going from the composite rating that we currently have with those 4 tiers, we look at the age of the employee, health status of the employee, claims experience of the group as a whole. We're now going to be looking at just age and the location of where the employee lives. So the ACA actually provides for a transition period for that rule. And so Aetna's provided us an opportunity to take advantage of that by doing an early renewal effective October 1st. And we learned about this probably about 3 weeks ago. I think kind of caught everybody a little bit by surprise. And that's why we're not able to bring it to you through the committee process like we normally do. We're bringing it to you all tonight. The good news with all this is there's no increase in premiums. So effectively, we're going to be carrying the premiums we have now forward through the next year. And we also learned on Monday or Tuesday this week that Delta Dental, which provides our health or dental insurance for the employees, will be offering a renewal no increase for next year as well. So we're saving some money both from those plans. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Mayor, I move the city council, Mayor, I move the city council approve a renewal of the city's current health insurance plan with Aetna for 1 year beginning October 1st, 2015 with no increase in premiums.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just one thought is, look, on the surface, I think this looks fine. I mean, obviously, if it's a decrease. But I do think that there are a number of unknown factors as it relates to the ACA. And I do think we will learn over the next 16 or 17 months that there are some unintended, probably not so positive consequences by renewing early. And I get rolling the dice and going with that group rating will trigger an increase come January 1. But I just caution, I'm going to support it, but I just caution us that I think there's going to be some unintended consequences that we haven't quite gotten our arms around yet. So.
Anybody else? Please call roll.
Miller.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Quinn.
Cautious, aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Pring,
Aye.
Cowdery,
Aye.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Gibbs.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
Yes, sure.
I just want to let everybody know that the Mission Magazine will be coming out in a couple of weeks, and just as a sneak preview, I don't know how many of you know Laura Caldwell, who is in Countryside. She's been associated with the Call Valley, with the Call River for years. So she has promoted trips up and down the Call. So guess what? The City of Mission is going to have a day of a trip up or down, or wherever you'd like to go on the Call.
Up and down. Up and down.
Up and down. And we will be having kayaks and canoes. The cost will be $25 for a boat, a canoe, or a kayak. And the kayaks will hold 2 adults and 2 children, or 3 adults. It will be October the 18th. It's on a Sunday from noon till 5. I think we've already got some that are going. We'll take half the way up, and then we'll stop and have hot dogs on a sandbar, and then we'll come back. So I think it'll be a really cool trip, and I hope everybody will mark your calendar and come go. I know Jennifer's going, I know Christy's going, I know we've got quite a few going already. So I hope everybody just gets in here and it'll be fun.
Can I bring my own boat?
No, that kind of defeats the purpose of this kayak.
You can if you will make a contribution to our cause.
Oh, yeah, I would contribute.
Oh, no motorized boat. No.
That's what he was thinking. Yeah, he doesn't have a paddle boat.
No, you can bring a kayak.
It kind of sounds like work.
Great, that's good, that's good. Mary now will go.
Good, good. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
There is no mayor's report tonight, so we'll go straight to the city administrator's report.
And I really don't have anything, Mayor, other than the indoor pool has been closed this week for repainting, retiling of the hot tub, and redo of the sauna. So I haven't had a chance to take a sneak peek, but I hear things are looking really nice over there. So good chance to stick your head in, right? Yep. I was going to say, that would be great. And next week we don't have a work session. But it gives us about a week to catch our breath and hit September running. We are going to have very full agenda this fall with the variety of things, so we'll look forward to that. And yes.
And I just wanted, 2 of my neighbors have been taking first-time swimmers, an adult and a child, and have had a wonderful experience in our aquatic program. So thank you, Christine.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, sure.
So a few of us went to Pi 5 tonight hoping to get some pizza at 5:30, but it was an hour-and-a-half wait at 5:30. So it was amazing and awesome that there are so many people who are excited. Unfortunately, we were not able to partake since we had to be here. But yeah, I just was really excited to see them coming in. And do we have any update? My neighbors are asking me about Starbucks. When is the official open date?
No one's going to
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I was really excited about Pi 5.
Okay, well, tonight we need to have an executive session to discuss current litigation. I would entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move the city council adjourn to executive session for 30 minutes to discuss the status of current litigation. Also attending will be City Administrator Laura Smith, City Attorney David Martin, Attorney Mike Seck, Ben Hadley. The council will reconvene in council chambers at 8:40.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead. Gary, like you do.